Hello, Iowa, and congratulations to the Iowa Hawkeyes. That was a big win today. I'm thrilled to be back. That was a big win. But I'm thrilled to be back, especially on such great news as that. That was a big one. You beat a great school, a great team, a great tradition, really an amazing job. And it all started right here, and we're going to keep it here, number one, right? We're going to keep it here. The fairgrounds, so they broke a record tonight. In the history of the fairgrounds, I don't know how old it is, but in the history of the fairgrounds, this is the most people they've had, so thank you very much. And all of you are hardworking American patriots, that we know, and we love you all. As we gather tonight, millions of Americans are realizing that Joe Biden and the radical left have brought our nation to the brink of ruin. There's never been anything like what has happened. After just 9 months under Biden, violent criminals and bloodthirsty gangs are taking over our streets. Illegal aliens and deadly drug cartels are taking over our borders. Inflation is taking over our economy. China's taking over our jobs. The Taliban has taken over Afghanistan. Lunatic leftists are taking over our schools, and radical socialists are taking over our country, and we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let that happen. And you can't say I didn't warn you, but I also can't say you didn't get out, because you got out and voted like no sitting president has ever received votes before. The election was rigged. But as disastrous as the Biden administration has been, no one can blame the great state of Iowa, because, boy, we did really good here. Iowa, what a place. And by the way, nobody's ever been better to Iowa and the farmers than Trump, I can tell you that. You know that. You know that. First, you rejected Joe Biden by delivering him a humiliating fourth-place finish in the Iowa caucuses. You remember that? He came out. He didn't even stick around. He left. Then you came out in record numbers to give us thundering 8-point landslide victory, a big, beautiful victory in November. You proved why Iowa should continue to vote first in the nation. That's right, first in the nation. And Jeff understands that. Right, Jeff? First in the nation, Jeff. And just this week, the latest Des Moines Register poll showed that Biden is at a record low, 31% approval in Iowa. Who the hell are the 31%? Is anybody here that voted? Any 31%ers? Well, your all-time favorite president. This is a negative poll for Trump. I mean, they don't like me too much, but we can't complain, I guess. Is at a record high. We're right now at the highest we've ever been. 53% approval, which for a radical left newspaper is not bad, right? You saw some of those polls? Texas is in play. We won by a lot. Florida's in play. We won by a lot. Ohio's in play. We won by a lot. He's down 17 points in the state of Wisconsin, and actually, we won by a lot. Twice. Remember last time they had us down 19 points in Wisconsin and we won. I said, why is that? Why do they do that? Because they want to keep people from going and voting. It's called suppression. There's suppression polls. They should be illegal, but basically it's the fake news. Oh, you have a lot of people there. Fake news. It's the fake news. As we speak, Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats in Congress are trying to ram through a $5 trillion wild spending binge that costs more than the entire sum the United States has spent on any war in the history of our country. Not only is this the largest spending bill of all time and the largest tax hike of all time, this monstrosity, so dangerous for our country and so bad for children and grandchildren to come. This monstrosity is a bill to end America as we know it. It's so bad. And the Republicans have to stay strong. You have to stay strong. You have to fight. Bring our country back. It's a socialist transformation bill. It's an open borders bill. It's an American energy destruction bill. First time ever we had energy independence, ever. Now they're calling OPEC, Russia, and other countries, please send us some oil, will you? Please. We were finished with that. We had more, by far, when I left office, we had more energy, we had more coming in, we had more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia by far, than Russia by far, and now we're calling them, asking if they'd help out. In Alaska, they killed Anwar. They've been trying to get it since Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. And I got it. And that's right. For many, many years, for decades, and now perhaps the biggest drilling site anywhere in the world, as big as Saudi Arabia. And now, you know what they did? They terminated it. Lisa Murkowski, Republican, did a really bad job for the state of Alaska. That I can tell you. It's an illegal race-based discrimination bill. It's a corrupt elections bill. Oh, wait till you look at what they have about your elections, like the elections aren't bad enough and corrupt enough. It's a bankrupt Medicare bill. It's a bankrupt Social Security bill. They'll bankrupt both of them. And it's a naked power grab by the likes of Biden and Pelosi and Kamala Harris. Hasn't she done a great job on the border? And Bernie Sanders is in there too, and Omar. How about Omar? Omar is in there too. She doesn't like Israel too much, does she, huh? Didn't she marry her brother, right? She came in, she married her brother. This is nice. And they don't do anything about it. They don't do anything about it. With us, they do everything, right? Oh, they do everything. Congressional Republicans must stand strong. This is not a time for Republicans to fold, to walk away, to quit, to be afraid. Whatever happens, happens. They have to be strong. Don't worry about being impeached. Don't worry about anything. They're worried. One of them was so worried he was going to be impeached. He let everything happen. It was so sad to watch. I watched it. It was really pretty sad. But they just don't seem to have the spine, some of them. Thank you. That was a great word. That's the word I was looking for. You need spine. Here are just some of the ugly surprises hidden in the Democrats' socialist calamity. According to the nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation, the Biden spending bill will raise taxes on working families like never, ever before. The Biden plan would make the United States business tax rate dramatically higher and bring it back to one of the highest in the world, and actually substantially higher than a place called Communist China. Have you ever heard of it? In fact, taking into account all taxes under Biden's plan, the Democrat bill would give businesses an approximately 100% tax advantages to locate jobs in China rather than the United States. Think of it. We're incentivizing people to go to China, but not here. Gee, I wonder why. The Biden plan will build up China, and the Republican Party, we want to build up America. Very simple. Biden's socialist bill also includes mass amnesty and free college. Don't get excited. For illegal aliens. Not for you, but for illegal aliens. It includes a blowout increase in chain migration, and it eliminates caps on green cards for foreign workers. Lots of luck. By the way, we have created more jobs than ever before. We have 12 months ago, We had 160 million people working in this country, the highest number by far. African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, men, graduates of the top colleges and universities, non-graduates, people that didn't have a high school education, never got a diploma. Every single group had the highest numbers they've ever had. Hundreds of thousands of people are right now pouring into the United States from Haiti. The people coming into our country are uneducated. In many cases, don't speak the language. They don't have the skills that we need to make America great again. Have you ever heard that expression? And they've been, for many, many years, sadly, they've been unemployed. The Democrat bill will also admit every foreign national previously denied under my national security travel ban. Remember I had the travel ban? Everyone said, oh, what a horrible thing. I said, no, we really don't want people in our country who are going to blow up our cities, if you don't mind. We don't want Fifth Avenue blown up. They're having enough time with crime on Fifth Avenue right now, and Chicago and lots of other places. We won in the United States Supreme Court for the travel ban, bringing in countless unscreened travelers from all over terror-afflicted countries, and they weren't allowed to come in. We said, I'm sorry, we want to be politically correct. We want to be nice. I'm sorry. We don't want people that want to hurt our people, that want to hurt our country. I think that's okay. It will include funding for unlimited numbers of unvetted Afghan nationals to be brought to America and given free welfare and government benefits courtesy of you, the people of Iowa, and the American taxpayer. Congratulations. I'm sure you're thrilled about it as you have to struggle. And only 3% of the people they crammed into those planes, remember they said, oh, the airlift was, oh, that was great. They had no idea who was getting on those planes. We still don't have any idea. Only 3% were qualified to be taken to a place called the United States of America. Isn't that something? 3%. You're going to be hearing from those people over the coming years in a very bad way, right? The Democrat package includes a plan to demolish the U.S. energy industry, which has largely been done in a period of 9 months. Starting with a $630 billion down payment on the socialist Green New Deal, which is throwing money out the window at the expense of future generations of Americans. The Green New Deal, conceived and made up in about 15 minutes by some radicals sitting around in a room that know nothing about the environment. Their bill includes giant new taxes and fees on American oil, and especially on American gas production that will kill countless oil and gas jobs, devastating workers in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, and many, many other states. Gas prices and inflation have already skyrocketed. I saw the other day, inflation's the highest in 24 years. Think of it. But it's going to go up much more. Get ready. The Democrat bill imposes a new energy tax on methane, which is projected to increase your energy costs by hundreds of dollars per year. Percentages that nobody even knows what to say, up 50, 60, 70, and 80% quickly. The bill abolishes the Hyde Amendment, forcing taxpayers to fund the far left's extreme abortion agenda, ripping babies from their mother's womb right up until the moment of birth, and in fact, killing babies even after birth. You saw that in Virginia with the governor of Virginia after birth. In the Republican Party, we believe that every child is a sacred gift from God. The Democrat Socialist bill also includes a $1.3 billion payoff to the fake news industry. These people, but we're giving them money. They don't deserve it. by subsidizing and hiring of reporters at media outlets all across the country, meaning liberal media outlets. Can you imagine, on top of everything else, billions of dollars is being spent to take care of these people that don't report truth. They don't report truth. They're all going out right now. They're going to buy a new car. Nice one, too. Meanwhile, the media says nothing about Biden's handling of COVID, despite all of the vaccines that we came up with, therapeutics that we came up, and knowledge that we gave. Biden's come up with this horrible period of time. He hasn't done the job because now we have more people that have died of COVID in 2021 with the vaccines, with the therapeutics. More people died in 2021 than in all of 2020. But the media is silent. They don't talk about that. They hate to talk about that. Can you imagine if I were president and had these numbers? And, you know, some people thought, first of all, he didn't get elected. Okay, forget that. But some people said, oh, sir, it was COVID. Incredible. You know, they're allowed to say that about me. They called it illegitimate. They called it everything in the book. It was fine. When I say it, now here's the difference. Hillary conceded. I never conceded. Never. Never conceded. No reason to concede. When you look at the numbers of these swing states, and we're going to go over them real quickly in a little while, but when you hear these numbers of swing states, there was no reason to concede. They should have conceded. They did the honest thing, attack on our country. Even though the numbers are greater, they don't have the death watch in the right-hand corner. Remember on CNN, fake news, which is down 80% in ratings. Remember they had Death Watch. Death Watch. And they'd risk it. We don't have that anymore, but they're losing more people, okay? What's going on? That doesn't sound so good. That's because it's fake news. They are the enemy of the people. The Democrat bill contains billions and billions of dollars for unlawful government training programs inspired by toxic and bigoted critical race theory. It's crammed with so-called equity provisions. Equity, you know what equity means? We're going to take it away from you and give it to other people. I don't think they're going to take it away from too many of you. I have a feeling. I don't think they're going to take it away from you. But it's a code word for illegal government discrimination that they want to bring to everything from education to housing to health care to our military. They're also giving the IRS the power to destroy people, just like they tried to do with the Tea Party, Christian organizations, and just like they've always been trying to do to me. Yeah, you see that? We fight like hell. We all fight like hell. This bill is a sinister combination of job-killing tax hikes and woke fascism that will destroy our nation. And to think that we had 11 Republicans go along with an extension. Headed up by Mitch McConnell. Can you believe that? Mitch McConnell. 11 Republicans. And you know what it does? It gives the Democrats more time, 2 months, gives them more time to figure it out. They can now have 2 more months to figure out how to screw us, okay? That's what they did. They approved it, and they should be ashamed of themselves. The radical Democrats will lower the final price tag to try to fool the public. They'll come in, oh, we don't want the 5, because it's really 5, it's not 3.5. Also, it's not an infrastructure bill. It's 9% infrastructure. The rest is a Green New Deal garbage that you might as well just throw it out, put it in the waste paper basket. But think of it. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, more than anybody's ever even conceived of, most of it for junk programs that will only hurt our country. But the bottom line will always be a socialist transformation of America if they allow this to happen. So when they talk about the debt ceiling, we have a very powerful card there. We don't want to violate that. But that's more important than what they're going to do by passing this thing that's going to kill our nation. All Americans of common sense, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, must stand firm. And you have to really stand strong and firm against Biden, crazy Nancy Pelosi, she's a nut job, and the extreme power grab. And we must declare with one united voice that we cannot allow America to ever become a socialist country. That's what they're doing. And I really think it's a step beyond. I think it's going to be a communist country. We're not letting it happen. But these people, the media, who don't cover anything they do that's wrong, anything they do that's okay, they make it like it's the greatest thing that ever happened. And anything we do that's right, they make it sound bad, evil, and corrupt. They are sick people, and they're really hurting our country. Practically every single Democrat lawmaker in the House and Senate has endorsed this deranged legislation, and that's why every single one of them has to be voted out of office next November. Next November. It's coming up quick. Time flies, right? Time flies. Remember the election? We said, oh, boy, it will never end. It's just that. But listen, in November, we have an election already. I mean, think of it. It's a year from now. We're having an election. So quickly it flies. The 4 years really flew. You know, I did a couple of things. I said, I have two things. Number one is to protect and save our country. And the other thing was to survive against these maniacs. We must send the radical left a message they will never, ever forget. And we must do it by electing record numbers of America First Republicans. And we have a lot of great ones. We have so many great ones. The Democrats' multi-trillion-dollar spending spree is also going to trigger runaway inflation. And last month, we saw yet another dismal jobs report. Came out yesterday. Did you see those numbers? They were a disaster. In fact, even the radical left newscasters, though, I think we're looking at 600,000 or 700,000. What do you think about? I think 700,000. I think it's 800,000. How about like really less than 200,000? They're saying like, whoa, this is bad. And 10 minutes later, well, it's not that bad, actually. It's pretty good. These people are so corrupt. The media, look, I don't need to do this, but the media is corrupt. And you know what? When I started, I'm so proud of this. Two things I proved. Number one, the elections are totally corrupt in our country. They have been for a long time, but never like they were this last time. They used COVID in order to cheat and rig. And the other thing is how dishonest the media was, because they were at 96% approval rating before I came along, and now they're like in, what, the 20s. They're actually, I think, lower than Congress. Is that possible? We're going to witness that deadly combination of no growth and inflation, or what is known as stagflation. You remember stagflation from the years of Jimmy Carter? That's very good. Whoa, let me see what you, oh, she's a historian. Jimmy Carter, stagflation, they were not good years. I was in business. I was saying, this isn't good. It was a bad time for our country, but this will be far worse because the numbers are far bigger. Under my administration, we had the exact opposite. We had low inflation, surging growth, and the greatest jobs presidency in the history of our country. And I said that would happen. I keep looking at these big, beautiful screens. Who else is going to give you a big screen like that? By the way, you know, we have great generals, but not the television guys. These guys are major losers. But Do you think that General George Patton would have left early out of Afghanistan? You think he would have left dead soldiers for no reason whatsoever? And do you think he would have left $85 billion worth of the best equipment anywhere in the world? And you know, Russia and China, they already have samples of our great helicopters. We have the Apache helicopter. We have the best stuff in the world. And they are now re-engineering the equipment. They're de-engineering. They're taking it apart. They're figuring it out. And very soon they'll be building the best stuff for less money. It's a disgrace. What's happened is a disgrace. Think of it. 600,000 of the best machine guns, rifles, and guns made anywhere in the world. And I read the other day, there's tremendous numbers of our equipment right now being sold on the black market. Isn't that nice? No, General George Patton, you know, I saw that movie years ago, and a little while ago we were at a rally, and it was a great rally, and I said, you know, could you guys ever find that opening to George Patton? Right? That was a great, what a great thing that was. And George C. Scott. George C. Scott. I don't know. Did he win the Academy Award? Did the movie? I think so. Something like that. They did pretty well, right? But when you, but that was him. In fact, they actually said that wasn't nearly as tough as the real Patton. That was a softer version of the real Patton. But we need that. You know, we did great. We knocked out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. We had great generals. We had a general named Kane. I went to Iraq. I don't want to embarrass him because he's not a television general. I'll end up ruining him. He'll probably come out with a bad statement about me because he was told to. But we had a general. I flew in and I landed at night. Every window was dark because they thought it would be, this is on Air Force One. I said, isn't that terrible? The lights were all off. They pulled down the shades. The plane was entirely black. They couldn't see it. And I said, isn't that incredible? We've spent trillions of dollars in the Middle East and we can't even land Air Force One with the lights on, right? But I landed and it was an incredible experience. I got to meet a lot of great real people, real soldiers, real generals, real officers. We have great generals. And I said to them, they greeted me at the airplane, immediately whisked me inside. I'm saying, you mean with all the money we spent? But I met two generals that could star in any movie. They had that quality. And a sergeant who was unbelievable, could have been a movie star. I said, you know, you're a good-looking guy. You're a tough guy. Yes, sir. But I met General. I said, General Kane, what's your first name? Raisin, sir. Raisin. I said, you mean like a raisin? Yes, sir. I said, you mean your name is General Raisin Kane? I love you, General. You're what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. And I said, so, General, they say it's going to take 2 years, General, to get rid of the ISIS caliphate in Iraq, Syria. And do you agree with that? No, sir. I said, you don't? Well, my Washington television general said 2 years, and they said we won't be able to do it in that. I disagree, sir. They said, how long will it take? Sir, we can do it in 4 weeks, maybe less, sir. I said, wait a minute, General, explain this to me. Well, sir, they would come here, and they're of a higher rank. I said, did you ever tell them what you have in mind? No, sir, that wasn't my job. I'm a general. I was at a lower rank. They tell me, sir. They didn't ask. I'm not supposed to do that, sir. I'd like to, and I wanted to, but I couldn't. I said, so you did a plan that they didn't want, right? That's what you want to do now. He said, yes, sir. It's very easy. I said, when you say 4 weeks, he said, yes, sir, 4 weeks, and you know what? We're going to have time left over, sir. I said, so what's different? They say 2 years and you won't do it. You say 4 weeks and you're going to have time left over. What's the difference? Sir, we'd hit them from 5 different locations. We'll hit them from the left. We'll hit them from the right. We'll hit them down the middle. We'll be launching from Syria, from Iraq, and from all over. Sir, they only wanted us to fly from this big Air Force base that we have right here, from our big base, and we're very far away. And it's one location. Sir, we have many locations, and we'll hit them from every damn one of those locations. And you know what? I said, well, let me give that a little thought, General. I went back and I listened to the other ones, and I said, they're not good. One of them, Millie, actually told me that when we leave, I know where this came from. He went to Biden. I know exactly where this came from because he told me the same thing. Millie, a real genius. He went, I put the patent thing up, compare that to Millie, but he said to me the same thing as they did. Sir, it's cheaper to leave the equipment than it is to take it. I said, now wait a minute, and especially being in the construction business, right? I said, so you mean we have a $50 million plane, all it needs is a tank of gas and a pilot. We could have flown over 200 pilots, taken everything out, but we didn't have to worry because the Taliban listened to me. We didn't have one soldier killed. Think of it, in 18 months. I spoke to Abdul. Abdul is the man running the Taliban right now. They left us alone. And it would have been fine, but what happened is we took all our soldiers out. And I told this one time before to a great group of people, very much like you, from a slightly different state. Remember Biden when he said, it's great to be in Idaho. They said, sir, you're in Iowa. Do you remember that? It's wonderful to be in New Hampshire. Sir, you're in Florida. So we should have known. But I know exactly what happened. Millie went up to him, just like he did to me, but it was unacceptable. With me, I said, I want every nut, I want every bolt, I want every screw, I want every plane and tank, I want the Apaches, I want everything else. And I even want the hangars, those beautiful canvas hangars that hold these big monster planes. They're massive. I said, I want the hangars, I want the canvas, I want the plastic, I want the fiberglass, and I want the steel. I want everything out. And then we're going to bomb the hell out of the 5 or so bases that we don't want. And with Bagram, I hate to say it, but we're going to stay there. It's right next to China. Nice to have a base like that. It's got the longest runway there is. The concrete pad is so thick I couldn't be in construction. I figured maybe 6 inches. How about like 6 feet? 6 feet thick. And we left it. They spent supposedly $10 billion building, and we left it in one night, and we left all the equipment. And don't believe them when they say they disabled the equipment. They didn't. You see a couple of helicopters, they didn't disable. They got killed for leaving the equipment, and so they disabled a couple of little old helicopters. That equipment is brand new right out of a box, including the night goggles, which are better than the goggles we have. They're later models. And including all of the rifles, machine guns, and guns. They're the latest model, the latest and the greatest. So our enemy of many years has all of that. And it's a shame. It's a shame. To see what's happened to our country, it's a shame. But the general was great, so he called me up. I said, General, give it to me one more time. 4 weeks, sir. I said, General, go ahead. Thank you, sir, very much. Now, he doesn't give a shit about television. He's a general. Generals aren't supposed to care about that. And remember this, just to go back for a second. So when Millie told me that, I said, what are you, a nut job? Are you stupid? That's when I realized, that was one of the many times I realized he was stupid. Such a phony story they concocted, but one of the many times. But you know what I realized? He went into Biden and said the same thing. Sir, it's cheaper to leave the equipment than it is to take it. You'll have a $5 million Army tank. You'll have a $30 million helicopter, brand new. You'll have, think of this. Even if you just flew it into Pakistan, it's a very short flight, and then you took your time in taking it. We should have taken everything. Most importantly, we should have never lost 13 warriors. And nobody talks about this, and we should talk about it every time. We also have numerous young people who have lost a leg, lost an arm, in one case lost 2 legs and an arm, and nobody talks. We talk about the 13, and we love those 13, and they're looking down on us right now, and they're proud of us because we know what we're doing. But we had some terribly wounded people, and overall they lost approximately 250 people. That's a terrible thing. Should have never happened. Should have never happened in that location. Should have happened in Bagram, where you have a big wall, actually, wall. You're not allowed to say wall. They don't like walls, The Democrats don't want to build a wall. It was almost completed. I had to start it 2.5 years later for one reason. I had to fight off all the lawsuits where they were suing me, and it was just about finished. They would have finished the wall, but what happened with the general, Raising Cane, is called me up, said, "Sir, it's done." I said, "Done?" "It's done, sir." And we defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate in record time. Sir, we hit them so hard, they didn't know what the hell was happening, sir. We have great generals. We have great soldiers and sailors and everything. I'm so proud of it, and so proud of Space Force. Remember, they didn't like Space Force. Space Force got to be one of our most important. We totally rebuilt the military. But we did this, and that was much tougher than withdrawing from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, which we wanted to do. We wanted to do. And by the way, speaking of Pakistan would have helped us, but we didn't ask them for the help. We give billions and billions of dollars a year to Pakistan, and they don't do anything for us. They don't do anything. They would have helped if we did it the right way. So that's what happened, but we defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Think of that. And we knocked out Soleimani, and we knocked out al-Baghdadi. They didn't know what the hell happened. And I'll tell you what, our country was respected again. This would have never happened, taking the military out first. And I told this, I said, if you look, Abdul, the American soldiers have left. And he said, I'm doing this like Schiff did to me with the phone call that he made up, right? But mine is probably totally true. And Abdul, the leader of the Taliban, good fighters, by the way, he said, "You're crazy. They didn't leave. Are you crazy? Get him out of here. He's crazy." "Sir, they left." "No, they didn't. They left, sir." And then they sent a patrol in, called back. They said, "Sir, the Americans have left." He said, "I don't believe it." And then they just walked into Kabul, and they walked into the remaining portions of Afghanistan. They didn't do that with me. They didn't do that with me. They respected us. Remember this, again, we had conditions. They weren't meeting them. We'd hit them hard. They would have met every one of those conditions. But remember, the first condition was you can't kill Americans and you can't kill American soldiers. Not one soldier was killed in 18 months. Not one. Think of that. And remember when Biden was making the speech about 3 weeks ago, and it was a disaster for him, and he was in the middle of a disaster, but he's protected by the press. They don't even talk about Afghanistan anymore. They don't even talk about it. But you remember when he was making this speech, he said, "Well, I will say that in 18 months, we've lost no soldier." And his people are screaming at him, "Don't stop there. Why did you bring that up? That's a good thing for Trump." I kept waiting for the but. There was no but. We lost no soldiers for 18 months because Abdul knew that we were going to hit them harder than any country has ever been hit before. Okay, it's very simple. And he understood that. He understood that. Now, it's a very sad thing that happened. I think, to me, Afghanistan is the most embarrassing event in the history of our country. I do think that. And I think that, meaning the withdrawal, we went in there, we didn't fight like we should have. We became a police force instead of the military as we know it. And they didn't fight. But you know what? They should have. They did what they did. But to leave in disgrace instead of leaving the way they should have left. When I left office, we handed Biden the most secure border in United States history, and that includes from drugs, not just people. We ended catch and release. We shut down asylum fraud. We struck historic agreements with Mexico and Central American nations to stop illegal immigration. And we built almost 500 miles of powerful border wall, which really helped us. And I want to thank the president of Mexico, a great guy. I said, you have to put your soldiers until we build the wall. You got to put your soldiers. How many do you need? 28,000. That's a long wall. That's a long border. And he did it. He gave us 28,000 soldiers. And that's why we did things that nobody else could do. Now, in all fairness, he did it for a reason. I said, if you don't do it, we're going to put a 25% tariff on all the cars that you make and sell back into the... And they said, yes, we'd love to do it. It would be our honor. But whatever it is, it worked. And we have a great relationship with him and with Mexico, and it worked out great. And then these people came and they tore down everything. Remain in Mexico, gone. All of it's gone. And people are destroying our country. We tracked down the gang members, the drug smugglers, and the dangerous criminal aliens, and we threw them in jail, or we threw them the hell out of our country. Ideally, we wanted to get them out, but some were so dangerous we put them in jail. Yet Biden has systematically reversed every border security policy that we had in place. Oh, they were so good. You know, I say, and I mean it, if Biden would have just gone to the beach, just take it easy, enjoy the surf, you'd have a great border today, because it was getting better and better and better. And you hear all the Border Patrol people, even people that work for him, they're saying we should have left it. They didn't have to do anything. It was so good, best we've ever had. And people could come in, but they have to come in legally. Just days ago, even amid the worst border crisis in history, the Biden administration issued an order effectively abolishing ICE. These are great patriots. These are tough people. They would go into these gangs of MS-13, the toughest gangs in the world, they say. And they'd go in there and the fist would start. I'd say, these people, and I can tell you, I have some tough people in front of me. Some of them are even tough farmers. I don't even think you people want to do what they do. And they loved it. They wouldn't want any other job. And they're great patriots. They love our country, but they were tough. You know, to get rid of MS-13 and some of the worst people that you've ever seen. I mean, typically when you have tattoos on your face, it's not a positive event. It's not positive. When you have a tattoo on your face saying, we hate America, and we say, we'd love to have you, it's great. It's not going to work out well. But when you look at what they've done, ICE has been so incredible, and they've basically taken away their power and their prestige. But they will be around because nobody can do the job that they did, and that goes for the Border Patrol and our police department and law enforcement. Our police departments are incredible, and law enforcement, incredible. I met a lot of them backstage. You have them here, incredible police. And with the Republicans, there'll be no defunding of the police, I can tell you that. There'll be no defunding. That's not working out too well. You see in Minnesota, Minneapolis, they're not doing too well. They defunded the police and they cut it. And it's a disaster. Crime is through the roof. But it is in other places. New York, it's through the roof. You have district attorneys that are looking at Republicans and not looking at people that shoot people every day. It's a crazy, what's happening is so bad for this country, so dangerous for this country. People want other people to stop shooting and knifing people to death in broad daylight. Did you see the case in Chicago? Gets out of the car, starts shooting somebody, and they just said, we're not going to press charges. And he's right on tape and right on camera. No, it's a terrible thing that's happening. It's sick. Actually, it's sick. And it's only going to lead to the destruction of our country. And other bad things can happen, because I don't think a lot of people are going to take it for much longer. I'll be honest. I don't think they're going to take it. Other countries are emptying their prisons and sending their murderers and drug smugglers and child abusers into the United States. We are becoming a dumping ground. We are a dumping ground for very, very serious criminals. And Joe, you know that. You know, I used to say it's in Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador, but it's not. It's in many, many countries, many, including Middle Eastern countries. They're taking them out of prison. These are seriously tough people, evil people in many cases, and they're dumping them in the United States. We're becoming a dumping ground. Never before has a president shown such contempt for his oath of office. He's supposed to be protecting our country, not destroying our country. Joe Biden has launched a foreign invasion of his own country. Come on in. He said, come in. This is a sick thing that's happening to our country. Not even explainable. You'd say, I used to say it was incompetence, but it is that. But you know what it really is? I don't know. It's almost like evil. They want this to happen because They're paying $6 million a day to contractors to not finish the wall, which could be finished very rapidly. They're paying millions of dollars a day to contractors. And do I know contractors? They're making a fortune. They're making more money now than they would ever make if they built it. But they're paying millions and millions of dollars a day, a week, a month to these contractors not to build the wall. And you wonder, is that incompetence or is that just a bad ideology? You know, it's probably a lot of both. Biden even had the gall to attack our brave border agents in the midst of this nightmarish disaster. And remember the horses, these guys with the horses to keep illegal immigrants out of our country or to keep them at bay, and now they're fighting for their lives, those people. And it wasn't a whip, by the way. They didn't have whips. They didn't have whips. What a sad thing is going on. In the Republican Party, we will always stand with law enforcement and our great heroes of law enforcement, and we will keep America safe. All of these calamities are the direct, predictable, and disastrous consequence of a totally corrupt election. It's all because of the corrupt election. They rigged the election, and now, based on the rigged election, they're destroying our country. That's not a mandate. That's a destruction of our country. Remember, this is not about me being robbed of an election. This is about the American people having their country taken away from them. That's what it's really about. Just recently, we got the results of the Arizona forensic audit, but the papers refused to report it the way it was, which showed massive irregularities, to put it nicely. That's a nice word. A few of the findings: 23,344 mail-in ballots came from people who no longer lived at that address. Oh, that's wonderful. The entire margin in the state, remember, or as they say, lost. We didn't lose. But the number they concocted was 10,457. That's what I lost by, 10,000 votes, a little more than 10,000. There was no chain of custody, which you have to have, provided for, listen to this, no chain of custody for 1.9 million mail-in ballots. Now think of that. We need 10,000. There's no chain of custody for 1.9 million. There were 2,500 duplicated ballots with no serial numbers. Oh, they have to have a serial number. What happened to the serial number? There was also missing serial numbers on thousands and thousands of adjudicated ballots. At least 1,900 blank mail-in ballot envelopes were discovered. Well, it's not supposed to be blank. There were numerous bad signatures on mail-in ballot envelopes that should not have been counted. These are all things that they have. 2,081 votes were cast by people who had moved out of the state. Oh, that's wonderful. But, you know, we're talking about Arizona. You're supposed to live in Arizona. 10,324 voters might have voted in multiple counties. Oh, well, that's okay. I vote here. Let's vote in another county too. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4. 284,412 ballot images were, quote, corrupt, they quoted, corrupt or missing. Oh, but I only lost by a little more than 10,000 votes. In addition, the auditors discovered that millions of the election-related files, the files, were deleted during and after the election in violation of federal law, including a purge of the election management system software the day before the audit began. Oh, I see. And the Justice Department was scared or impotent. They didn't want to do anything about it. It's been going on for years, but never like this. This, again, they used COVID in order to cheat with all of these ballots and all of this early voting and late voting. Likewise, the Supreme Court refused to hear the case by Texas and almost 20 other states, and now their approval rating is the lowest it's been in memory. They have the lowest approval rating in memory, and I believe it's for the reason that they refused or didn't have the courage. They rule against me all the time. all the time, very personal rulings. They didn't have the courage to do something about the election. And I believe that's the real reason their ratings or their approval numbers are so low. These horrific findings are now in the hands of the Arizona Attorney General, and let's hope that he does the right thing for our country. I don't know that he will. I don't know that he will. But let's hope he does. Our country needs it. Arizona needs it. And with all of those numbers being so horrible, we did. We did. Thank you. Very, very sad for our country. The whole world laughs at us on this too, the border, Afghanistan. But with all of those numbers being so horrible, Arizona was, in my opinion, the least corrupt of the other swing states. I think it was the least corrupt. It was so corrupt. You know, they use the word determinative. That means, are there enough votes? Like, for instance, if you had 300 dead people voting, but you needed 10,000 votes, I wouldn't even talk about that. But we have a determinative result many, many times over, so many times over. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it up. It was recently reported that 43,000 absentee ballot votes were counted in DeKalb County, Georgia, that violated the chain of custody rules, 43,000. Georgia was decided by only 11,779 votes. In other words, I needed 11,779 votes, and they have 40,000 here and 20,000 here. There were many other infractions in Georgia, but the Secretary of State, Raffensperger, and the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, who I got elected by giving him an endorsement. Thank you very much for that recommendation to endorse this guy. Absolutely refused to do anything about it. He hurt our party and he hurt our country very badly. Kemp was in last place when I endorsed him, and he ended up winning because of my endorsement in a landslide. He's afraid of Stacey Abrams. I don't know what the hell that she's got, but he and the Republicans, but he is afraid of Stacey Abrams and refuses to take on the corrupt Democrats in the state of Georgia. Just refuses. I know it's fraught with danger. It's fraught with danger, but you have to do it. It's for the country. But think of this. I win Alabama. I love Alabama. I win Alabama by a record vote, a record. I win South Carolina by a record vote. But right next to them is Georgia, and I lose by that much. It doesn't work that way. A new investigation by True the Vote alleges a gigantic illegal ballot harvesting operation involving large numbers of people throughout the state of Georgia and many other places. Why aren't they investigating this stuff? They are not investigating it. Jody Hice will end up taking over that job, and he'll investigate. Congressman Jody Hice gave up his absolutely guaranteed seat because he saw what was happening, how corrupt it is in Georgia. Also in Georgia, everybody's heard the water main break story, right? Where people were rushed out of the vote tabulation room because of a water main break. There's a water main break. Everybody leave. They all ran out. But there was no water main break. Only to see a crew of Democrat operatives or whoever come back and start pouring votes into machines from boxes that mysteriously appeared from under a table. From under a table. And the governor found nothing wrong with that, and the Justice Department found nothing wrong with that. And it's on tape. And it's like baseball now and football. They do action replays in magnified fashion. They have a fashionable magnified tape, and you can see just about everything. It's a sad thing. I think they have cases where they had the same one 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. But that was all a fake story. There was no water main break. And then they actually said, no, the water main break took place 250 miles away, somebody said. I don't know if that's correct or not, but they were looking all over the place for a water main. That didn't work out too well. So Georgia's very, very sad. And the law they passed isn't tough enough, by the way. They weakened it because Stacey Abrams wanted it weakened. She wanted it weakened, and they do whatever she says. Pretty amazing. I don't know. Hey, maybe she'll be running for president. I'd like that. You know? Let's run against Stacey Abrams. I'd like that. In Pennsylvania, there were reportedly hundreds of thousands of more votes than there were voters. Oh, I see. Philadelphia, more votes than voters. That's a tough one to explain. Why didn't they do something about that? Hopefully the people of Pennsylvania are angry that this can be allowed to happen and will not allow the Republican majority to be reelected if they don't get to the bottom of it fast. But there's no getting to the bottom. We won the state. You know, I was up by massive numbers on Election Day. It was even, the news was saying, wow, what a big lead in Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania. I went to school in Pennsylvania, college. But what a great state and what great people. And I was up by so much, all of a sudden, the booths closed, the tabulation centers are closed, 3 o'clock in the morning. And shortly thereafter, we're tied. And then we're losing by just a little bit. It's always, we're just losing by just a little bit. No, it's a disgrace. And the U.S. attorney said that he was told by the attorney general not to do anything. U.S. attorney was a pretty tough guy. He was told not to do anything by the attorney general because the attorney general, I think, didn't want to have problems. He was very worried about certain things with regard to himself. And I think it was probably the easy way out. But so bad for our country. The U.S. attorney of Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area, said, I was told, in writing, said I was told not to do anything, not to pursue it. And Philadelphia was so corrupt. Pittsburgh was very corrupt, they say. But think of it, more votes than you had voters. That's a pretty easy one. We don't have to go into a lot of detail. That's a pretty easy one. In Pennsylvania, thousands of voters reported receiving at least 2 ballots in the mail, and many others reported receiving mail-in ballots without requesting them. They just happened to flow in. They flowed in. On Election Day, thousands of people were complaining that they weren't allowed to vote because they were told that their ballot had already been cast. How many people, you're in Iowa, you had a good clean, you have a great governor, you had a clean, who happens to be here? Where is she? Where's your governor? Stand up. Stand up, Kim. Great governor. I'll be introducing you. I'll be introducing her. But no, she did a great job. Kim, if you had more votes than you had voters, would that bother you? When they say, sir, you have more votes than voters, and they don't want to do anything about it. They complained vehemently. Some laughed and discussed. Think of it. People walk in, and they're proud. And the Republicans tend to vote on Election Day, and the Democrats tend to use ballots, right? Maybe they're better off using ballots the way it happened, because it was a shocker. But people would walk in, and they were proud people. They don't want anybody playing with the ballots. They don't want anything to go wrong. So I'm going to vote on Election Day. They get up, and they get out, and they vote. And they go and they say, I'd like to vote. I'm sorry, ma'am. You've already voted. I haven't voted. I just came here. No, ma'am, I'm sorry you voted. This happened by the thousands and thousands. And you know what? Some would walk out laughing in disgust. Some walked out crying. So many complaints. It's such a disgrace. There's never been anything like this ever happened in our country before. And I think everybody has a good idea who got those votes. Do you ever see some of those so-called lock boxes? I call them unlocked boxes. 97% of the vote goes to Sleepy Joe Biden. 97. I said, you know, I did really well in that state. I don't think I only got 3%. You got to look at those boxes. You have to look at the tabulation, at the numbers, the unlocked boxes. In Michigan, the legislature found that over 300,000 people were listed on the voter rolls, even though they hadn't voted in over 20 years. Oh. And again in Detroit, which is known as the single most corrupt election venue in the country for many years, but nobody wanted to look at that. There were many more votes than there were voters. And if you saw the percentage of errors on the vote, it was almost infinitesimal, where even 4 years ago, when you didn't have all the mail-in ballot and all of the, it wasn't like it was this time, they had 4%. This year we had none. With mail-in ballots, they had almost nothing. And then I have to listen to people, and they say there was no fraud. There was no fraud. Over 40 years, bellwether counties have correctly predicted every election. Bellwether county, it's a big deal. I won almost every bellwether county, more than any other president. I won 18 out of 19. No president has ever done that. 18 out of 19. If you got just a small number, you win. I won 18 out of 19, the most any president's ever won. Think of it. We won 27 out of 27 toss-up House races. We won all 27. So they like to say, well, the people in the House were more popular than Trump. No, I made robocalls for them. I made calls for them. I helped them. And some of them said to me, a lot of them said, it's impossible. We got X percentage of vote. I got more than you, but you were much more popular in my district than I was. It's amazing. That's what happened to our country. I had numerous calls from people saying, sir, it's not possible that I beat you. Every poll, there was no way that I beat you. This election was rigged. They said that. This election was rigged. And no presidential candidate has ever lost an election while winning Florida, Ohio, and a place called Iowa. First time it's ever happened. So think of it, think of it, think of it. In the history of our country, if you win Iowa, Florida, and Ohio, no president has ever, if you win that, you don't lose. Never happened. All these elections, so many years, never happened. Thank you very much, Iowa. We love you. Thank you. Joe Biden lost with the African-American population to former President Barack Hussein Obama in every single state other than the 5 swing states. In other words, the only states that were going to determine the election, although I think a lot of other states were corrupt also, but the only swing states, the swing states that determined, that's where Biden won with the African-American population. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't believe that. In other words, the election was a fraud, and if we want to save our country and make America great again, we have only one choice. We must elect strong and unyielding America First Republicans at every level, and we must pass a complete overhaul of our entire election system to ensure it's free, fair, honest, and able to be fully and quickly audited. I tell a lot of these Republicans in Congress and all, they don't want to get involved. And I say, go ahead, let's go. Go. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your support. You've been incredible. Iowa's been incredible. But I tell a lot of these Republicans, some rhinos, but people that do like us, people that love the country, sir, think to the future. You shouldn't go back to the past. You have to think. I say, I've been doing this stuff a long time now. Not as long as most of them, but for a long time. And I'm telling you, the single biggest issue, as bad as the border is, it's horrible. Horrible what they're doing. They're destroying our country. As bad as that is, the single biggest issue, the issue that gets the most pull, the most respect, the biggest cheers, is talking about the election fraud of 2020 presidential election. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And these guys will say, and they mean it, you have some bad guys, and then you have the Democrats, they don't want to be caught. A lot of the steal, a lot of what they do is they don't want to talk about it because they know we're so close. They don't want to talk. And when they say cancel and cancel culture, you know why it's canceled? It's not canceled for any other reason. It's canceled because they don't want anyone talking about the election. They don't write about it. I'll bet you their damn cameras went off. They don't talk about it. They don't write about it because they know they got caught. They know they got caught. All you have to do is listen to the numbers. And remember what I said. Arizona was more honest than the other states, in my opinion. Much more honest than some of them. But the single biggest topic that they want, people that love our country, because they said, you know, if you don't solve this, people aren't going to vote in 22 and 24. They don't want to go through this again. When we have numbers, when I go to Arizona or Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania, I had 58,000 people show up in a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania just before the vote. And I said, it's not possible to lose this. That's like the ultimate poll. He would go there and he'd have 8 circles and he couldn't fill them, so the press would stand there. They couldn't fill 8 circles. We had 58,000 people. I'd go to Arizona. I went twice. We had 38,000, 42,000, I think maybe even a third time, well over 40,000. And I left. I said, not possible to lose. And then all of a sudden you lose just by a whisper. No. Fraudulent numbers shouldn't take months to accumulate with Democrats and rhino Republicans in the way of every single step we take. They're in the way. We got them by surprise. You know, we all got them by surprise in 2016. And they said, we'll never let this happen again. They worked hard for 4 years, and yet we did far better in 2020 than we did in 2016. It was a rigged election. You know, it's very interesting. A reporter from one of the people standing back there, big one, on the liberal side, said, what was the difference between 2020 and 2016? I said, well, the primary difference was I did much better in 2020 than I did in 2016. The rallies were bigger. The enthusiasm was even greater, if that's possible. And we got far more votes, almost 75 million votes, more than any sitting president has ever gotten. Last time we got 63, we got 12 million more votes. No president in history has ever gotten that many more votes from the time before, not even close. So we got 63 million in 2016. I was told by the best pollster, supposedly the best pollster. I won't use his name because you have other good pollsters, but you have mostly really bad pollsters. Evil pollsters, crooked pollsters. But they came to me and they said, sir, you got 63 million votes. If you get 64 million votes, you can't lose. If you get 65, it's over, sir. I got almost 75 million. Probably I got 85 million, but who the hell knows? And we lost, they say. And our country is paying a very big price, as everybody knows. And by the way, you know who was one of our best supporters in Congress? A guy named Chuck Grassley, one of our best supporters on election fraud. He was one of our best supporters, and I'm going to introduce him in a second because I have something very important to say about him. But he was one, he'd write these letters. And, you know, when Chuck speaks, were you lying? Did you leak? And he's actually trying to be nice, but the voice is so tough, he scares the hell. Remember he scared the hell out of Comey? Did you leak? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Like Perry Mason. As everybody here knows, my new slogan was going to be, Make America, remember this, remember? It was supposed to be something a little different than Make America Great. It was supposed to be Keep America Great. But America's not great right now, so we're using the same slogan, Make America Great Again. And we may even add to it, but we'll keep it. Make America Great Again, because we already did it, right? We're going to make America great again. No, I had a whole big deal, and it was all good, and, you know, it was just going to be Keep America Great, because we made it great. Our military was rebuilt. Our economy was great. Our job numbers were the best. We had the best country we've ever had. And in 9 months, a little more, they've destroyed our country. So I can't say Keep America Great. So I'm back to Make America Great Again. dash, slash, comma, again. Make America great again, I don't know. What do you like better? It's really, you think about it, if you think about it, it's more accurate. Make America great again. Because we made it great. Now we have to make it great again, so it's one of those things. But make America great again. Our nation's comeback begins in November 2022 when we're going to reclaim the House and we're going to reclaim the United States Senate. And we have with us tonight a great American patriot, a man who truly loves Iowa. He's young, very young guy. He's strong, and he's very handsome. He fights like no other. When I've needed him for help, he was always there, especially with anything having to do with farmers, and that includes ethanol. Nobody's ever done more. I know more about ethanol than anybody in the audience, I think. He was with us all the way. Every time I needed something, you know, he's very persnippety sometimes, right? He's tough. But when I needed him, he was always there. And I just want to ask Senator Chuck Grassley just to come up for a second. Chuck Grassley, strong on military, strong on vets, strong on our under siege Second Amendment. He helped pass the USMCA, helped confirm almost 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. Come here. You are the greatest. Look at this. He's young. I'm thrilled to announce tonight that Senator Chuck Grassley has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. Chuck. Want to say anything?
Yes. I was born at night, but not last night. So if I didn't accept the endorsement of a person that's got 91% of the Republican voters in Iowa, I wouldn't be too smart. I'm smart enough to accept that endorsement.
Thank you very much. We love you, Chuck. Be careful going down here. He's a great guy. He is a great gentleman. I think he's never missed a vote. Can you believe it? After so many decades. You're lucky to have him. We're also delighted to be joined by your governor, Kim Reynolds. I've gotten to know her so well. She's so tough. She's so tough. Kim, great job. I said, Kim, do you want me to endorse you tonight or later? She said, sir, this is Chuck Grassley's night. How nice is that? So if you would, give it to me sometime in the very near future, if you don't mind. I thought that was very nice, Kim. Most people wouldn't say that. They say, give it to me now. But she's been an incredible governor, done a great job, loves our farmers, our people, loves everybody. Respected. And she's had some tough races, and she always comes out on top. She's smarter and she's tougher. So I'll be talking to you soon about an endorsement, Kim. I refuse to do it now, Kim, okay? Members of Congress, they've been incredible, highly respected. Ashley Hinson, Ashley, great job, Ashley. And Marionette Miller Meeks. Marionette, thank you. Proud of them. By the way, we have a man, we talk about strong people and weak people. We talk about stupid people and smart people. But we have a man from Arizona with us tonight. He is tough as hell. He's incredible. And he is running for a certain position that's going to be, I think, a very easy victory. Arizona State Representative Mark Fincham is with us tonight, and what a job he's done. Mark, great job, Mark. You're going to win big, Mark. You know, because he's tough, they say he's controversial. It's not controversial. He's actually not controversial. a man that I've gotten to know over a 5-year period, a man who runs an organization as well as anybody can run any organization, Iowa GOP Chair Jeff Kaufman. Jeff, great job, Jeff. What a job. You got a record crowd tonight, Jeff, and you're the one that started this whole thing, I will tell you. Sir, do you mind coming out to Iowa? Sure, Jeff, anytime. Now, I didn't know it'd be such a big deal with the Iowa football game, but that was pretty big. That was pretty big. And also former acting attorney general, a friend of mine, a great, great guy. And there's somebody up in heaven looking down on you right now because he loves his pop, Matt Whitaker. Matt, he loves his pop. You understand that? We love Matt. He was a football player. He was a football player. Look at the size of that guy, huh? He was a great football player. Under our administration, we accomplished more in 4 years than almost any president ever dreamt of accomplishing. What we did with the military. We passed the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in the history of our country. We stood up to China. Never has anybody done this to China. We took in billions and billions of dollars when nobody else was able to take in 10 cents. Nobody took in money from China. And when China economically attacked our great farmers, we remember that, Kim, very well, don't we? I went back and I started doing tariffs on China, and I took out $28 billion over a 2-year period. I gave it to our great farmers all over the country, including Iowa, and Chuck Grassley wanted me to do it, and Kim wanted me to do it. We gave $16 billion and $12 billion. They made so much money. Those farmers are so rich. You remember what I said? I said to the farmers, I said, you're going to suffer for a little while because we negotiated an incredible trade deal with China. I don't know if they're going to honor the deal under Biden, but they sure as hell honored it under me. And the farmers made a lot of money. But do you remember what I said? Go out and buy yourself more land and bigger tractors. Do you remember? It turned out to be true. They've never been so successful as they are now because of what we did. Don't give credit to the guy that's sitting there right now. He doesn't like farmers. I then signed a trade deal with China that made so much sense because they were taking such advantage of our country, but the farmers were the biggest beneficiary, and manufacturers too. I kept my promises. I kept my promises to Iowa. I kept my promises to everybody. And I kept my promises to protect Iowa ethanol. And that turned out to be a very important promise. Thank you, Kim, for getting us so involved in that. I approved E15 for use all year round, and I allowed higher ethanol gasoline to be distributed from existing pumps. Remember, they wanted it brand new. I said, what's the difference? No difference. You just have to spend a fortune in doing it. So I used existing pumps. And with the help of Iowa farmers, we became energy independent for the first time ever. They say 75 years, ever. And America was respected again, and respected like we have never been respected before. Under Joe Biden, America is no longer respected, and the world watched the horrible Afghanistan withdrawal. And they took, you just see what they look. Every night they were watching, every day they were watching. Our borders were exploding, and the fake news refused to report it, but everybody saw it, and they see it now. And by the way, it's worse now than it was last month, and worse now than it was 2 months and 3 months and 4 months ago. It's at a level that is unsustainable by any country. And again, they're emptying their prisons, and people are coming into our country. We should never allow this to happen. They're destroying the United States of America, and our credibility has been literally thrown out the window. And now the Democrats want to send $10 billion to Afghanistan, despite the fact that when Biden hopelessly surrendered to them just a month ago and moved our military out first, We left them with the $85 billion of the finest military equipment in the world, and now he wants to give them $10 billion of your taxpayer money on top of everything else, and we shouldn't do that unless, here's an idea, we have breaking news. Unless they're willing to give back 100% of the military equipment that our television generals left behind. Is that a good idea? I mean, you hate to give them 10, but it's, I wouldn't give them any money unless they gave us back the equipment. I wouldn't do anything. And remember this, we also have American hostages over there. They haven't played that game yet. They will. We should have, that's why they're doing. They're paying the $10 billion because we have so many people over there. And I guarantee the Taliban, very tough, very smart, Afghans, great negotiators. And they're saying, what are you going to do if we give back the people that automatically would have just walked out with us very easily? And they weren't doing anything. We could have taken 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, or we could have taken 2 months. Could have done it as fast as we want. They were leaving us alone. They didn't like jets over their heads with machine guns and bombs. They didn't like it, as tough as they may be. But you know what's happened? They look at us now like we're stupid people. So we shouldn't be giving them $10 billion. And if we do give them $10 billion, we demand every ounce of equipment back, and we want our hostages back immediately. And if we don't get our hostages back, and the amazing thing about politicians? I've never heard that idea. That idea's never been thrown around. They don't even think of these things. But think how much sense. I don't want to give them $10 billion, but if we're going to give them, let Russia give them money, by the way. Let Iran give them money. That's their territory, and they're right there. We're doing their work for them, and then we're supposed to keep them going. Biden's giving them $10 billion so that he doesn't look bad, because they're tough, and they'll do numbers on us. No, we want our hostages back immediately, and we want our equipment back immediately, and then we can start talking about doing what we could do. I wouldn't mind doing it under those circumstances. We want our hostages back. We want our equipment back, and then we can start talking about that. So leaving Afghanistan was a good thing. I was going to leave. We should have left, however, under the symbols of strength and dignity, not weakness and surrender. We could have left under strength and dignity in the same period of time. It didn't have to take long. We could have been respected. Right now, I don't know that we'll ever recover from this, from allies to everything else. And you know what? Every ally's taken advantage of us, so I'm less concerned about it. They all take advantage. Or NATO, they take advantage. Germany, France, all of them. We're like the stupid people. We're like a country run by stupid people. Every single nation and every deal that I've looked at, and I looked at countries that many people have never even heard of, we made bad deals. Every single country. It's almost, you wonder, how do you sustain? How does it keep going? Our soldiers are heartbroken at what happened in Afghanistan. They wanted to win. They wanted to be respected. They wanted to show strength. And our television generals wouldn't allow them to do that. Just imagine how hard China is laughing when they see our woke politicians and woke generals injecting poisonous ideologies into our schools and into our military. You've seen the military of China. You've seen what they have. 1 million soldiers standing out on the square. Do you think they're told about the things that we're telling our soldiers and our school children? They laugh in our face. They think we're a failing nation. And I ended all of that. But one of the first things they did when Mitch McConnell said, we have to get back to business, Mitch McConnell should have challenged that election, because even back then we had plenty of material to challenge that election. He should have challenged the election. Schumer would have challenged the election. But Mitch McConnell didn't have the courage to challenge the election. He's only a leader because he raises a lot of money and he gives it to senators. That's the only thing he's got. That's his only form of leadership. He should have challenged the election. He said, now we have to get back to work. We have to get back. And the first thing that happened is Biden signed 17 executive orders that were devastating to our country. And now the Democrats want $6 billion in new federal funding to teach critical race theory, which I ended, in our schools, at the same time that Biden is unleashing the FBI on parents who stand up and object at school board meetings. The parents are the enemy. Biden is using federal law enforcement to threaten and silence citizens who oppose radical left indoctrination. To Joe Biden, the hated Taliban, our enemy for many years, killed many soldiers, we killed many of them, is an enforced upon us partner because of their weakness and their stupidity, while patriotic American moms and dads are the enemy. That's what's happened to our country. Along with the constant use of city, state, and federal prosecutors, this chilling left-wing tyranny is the kind of thing you see in Russia and China and third world dictatorships. It's un-American. It's got to stop. We're not going to have a country left. We're not going to have a country left. The only thing the radical Democrats are good at is hoaxes, witch hunts, and abuses of power. You saw where the Russia was a totally made up and paid for by the Democrats and crooked Hillary scheme. For 5 straight years, it has been a con job, one after another, one con job after another. A nonstop parade of fake whistleblowers, phony investigations, twisted conspiracy theories, and very, very perverted lies. First it was Russia. I said, I don't know anything about Russia. People would come up to me, sir, do you know anything about Russia? People that worked for me. Early on, I said, no, I don't. Didn't even think about it. A month later, somebody comes up, sir, so great to meet you, sir. Do you know anything about Russia? No, I don't. I wonder why he asks. Another one would come a couple of months later, sir, do you know anything about Russia? Now I'm starting to say, what the hell's going on with Russia? And then it started. And they said they were going to impeach me before I even got sworn in. They said, we're going to impeach Trump. It was in the Washington Post. 3 days before I got sworn in, they said, we're going to impeach Trump. And I mean it. I had to run a country and I had to survive. Those were my 2 jobs. And the surviving was tougher than running the country. But then it was Ukraine. Remember that? A phone call, perfect phone call. In fact, some of the senators said, I never knew he could be so nice. The call was so good. And I got impeached. But we had impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, the witch hunt against Justice Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice. It was a witch hunt. And then it became, and that's what we're doing now. Every story you see, they'll quote all these numbers and all this stuff, and there's many more. This was just a small sampling of the things that they found. And every story, these fake people, crooked people write, they say, there is no evidence of election fraud. You ever see that? You read the papers, you're reading about this, that. Then they say, well, there is no action. There is no election fraud. While these claims are totally unsubstantiated, they are. There's massive evidence. Or it's a big lie. Remember that? The big lie. That's what they say. While it's a big lie, and on MSDNC, which is also dying in the ratings, but between the two of them. That's why I really thought that MSDNC and CNN would sometime prior to the election endorse me. We want Donald Trump because their ratings have gone down the tubes. But they called it the big lie. But the big lie turned out to be the corrupt election itself. But you ever notice where you always read in there, while there is no evidence to prove this, there's so much evidence, it's pouring out of our ears. We've never had so much evidence. And let them look at it, let them go over it, or let them prove it's wrong. But the people of this country, whether it's Arizona or Georgia or Wisconsin or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and if you look at all of Michigan and others, The people get it more so than the politicians. With that being said, we have some great, great Republican politicians, and they proved that on Thursday when they totally decimated the people that were making the Arizona presentation in Congress. Andy Biggs, Jim Jordan, Congressman Clyde. They totally devastated. It's funny, they were going point after point, all bullshit, these other people, all giving all bullshit. And within about 10 minutes, it was proven that the whole thing was a fraud. But the press didn't want to report it. The left's new obsession is the unselect committee. They have an unselect committee. I call it the unselect. It's called the select committee for those of you that aren't that aware. We have appointed a select committee. You know who's on the committee? Swalwell, who likes the Chinese spy. Why aren't they investigating Swalwell? What a sleazebag. Why aren't they investigating him? For being with, I say being with. What is being with? I'll give you a definition afterwards. For being with a Chinese spy. Why does he have to be with a Chinese spy? And he's on the big committees. But we have all these people. And then, of course, we have the warmonger, Liz Cheney, she's a real beauty. She's going to lose big in Wyoming. Think she's down to 9% approval. Terrible. But as I've said before, the truth is a force of nature. It's going to come out. It's all coming out. Hang in there. Everything the extreme left touches throughout history, it leads to misery and destruction and failure. But with all of you in Iowa and conservative patriots all across the country, we will end their reign of radicalism and we will take back America. We're going to take back America. Such a great country, such a loving country. With a Republican Congress, we will fight for more jobs for American families, fair trade for American workers, and more American factories. Remember, for 2 years I've been coming up talking about factories, and 5 years ago when I started in Iowa, I talked about your farms and I talked about factories all over the country, and the job we did was incredible. But it's being wiped out by people that have no clue as to what, or they may have a clue, and that's even more dangerous. They may. But American factories forging more products stamped with that beautiful phrase, made in the USA. Made in the USA. We will shut down Joe Biden's border disaster, and we got to do it quickly. We can't let this go on. This is poisoning our country. People say 3 years. They say 2 years. Sir, you'll win in 3 years. We're not going to have a country left in 3 years. We'll again end catch and release. We will stand strong and demanding that we start up Remain in Mexico. They couldn't come into our country until we had them fully checked out. Most didn't make it. We will quickly complete, and most didn't come up because they knew they weren't going to make it. So we didn't have a problem where millions of people are pouring up through South America. We will quickly complete the border wall, and we will end illegal immigration once and for all. We will have to start it all over again. We will care for our great veterans. I love our veterans. I love our veterans. You know, we had the highest approval rating of any president for taking care of our veterans, 92%. 92%. We will continue to strengthen our military and give our police officers, Border Patrol, ICE, and law enforcement our 100% support. We love you. You know we love you. The whole country loves you. We will ban critical race theory in our classrooms. We will ban that horrible, crazy, critical race theory in our military. We will ban it from our workplaces. We will ban it from our federal, state, and local governments. It will be banned, permanently banned, and will never be allowed to come back again. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. Our movement is the greatest and most powerful in the history of our country, and it's based on one thought: make America great again. Yet we're up against some of the most sinister forces and entrenched interests that anyone has ever seen in our country. We've never encountered anything like this. But no matter how big or powerful they may appear, you must never forget that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. Belongs to you. This is your home, this is your heritage, and our magnificent American liberty is your God-given right. And just in closing, I just want to say the United States of America will not tell you how to live, how to think, what to do. You will not be bossed by incompetent, dishonest, disgusting politicians, by big tech tyrants, by left-wing bullies or anybody else, because we are a great, proud, and sovereign people. We know what to do. We are a great, proud, and sovereign nation. We are born free. We will live free. And we will win again like we've never, ever won before. The great state of Iowa, and it is indeed a great state, was founded by strong and righteous frontiersmen and magnificent pioneer women who defied the dangers in order to carve out a life and a home for their families. They tamed the wilderness, they braved the elements, they tilled the soil, they worked the fields, and they poured out their blood, sweat, and tears to build this country into the greatest nation in the history of the world, and we will never let anyone take that away from us, never. Our ancestors summoned the courage to fight and win our independence and wars against the most powerful nations on earth. We won the First World War. We won the Second World War. Afghanistan, we couldn't even take our troops out properly. Think of it. They stormed the beaches to crush fascism. They found the strength to topple communism. And that's what's happening with our country today. Communism is happening with our country today. We're not going to let it happen. We will not be afraid of woke agitators who despise our country, hate our people, and ultimately want us to lose. They want us to lose. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have as long as we remember that we are proud and mighty Americans. We have great people. We have great people, and JJ and Janet, thank you, JJ and Janet, friends of mine are here today. We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield, we will never give in, we will never give up, we will never, ever back down, and we will never, ever surrender. We will never surrender like they just did in Afghanistan. My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun. And remember this. Look at the crowd tonight. In theory, there's not even an election, and yet you broke records. We have bigger crowds now everywhere, not just in Iowa, everywhere. We have bigger crowds everywhere. There's more spirit now than there was before the election. Nobody ever thought a thing like that could happen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Greatest movement in the history of our country. And it's never even challenged when I say that. The fake news never says, well, it's not really true. There was a movement. There's nothing they can say. There's never been a movement like this. I remember one politician many years ago came in second in a certain state, and he became famous for many, many years because he came in second. We won 34 states. We did a job that nobody's ever done. There's never been anything like it. And you are the people that built this country. We're not going to take that away. You are the people that built this country. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you. Thank you, Iowa. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Thank you.